The Kuno by Remshi is a titanium blade on titanium handles Chanwich. It is technically Chanwich because there's no spacers, but it's effectively sandwich. Um, I would like to say that Remshi is my friend, but that said, I am not going to let that impede this review. This is also the Kuno prototype, and I don't know if this one was made by Machinewise. The production model is better balanced, allegedly. I have not tried it, but that's what everyone says. So I'm going to take that uh, at face value, because the balance on the prototype Kuno is kind of funky weird. Um, First things first, the Kuno, one of the most noticeable thing about the Kuno is that it's got no edges. It's a trainer, and more than that, though, this is the longest Balisong that I have ever flipped. That is not the stupidly long Filipino one. Here's the Kuno next to the Koenig. Here is the Kuno next to the Rakusa. The Kuno is by and large the longest Balisong. It is longer than the Segaiha. It is longer than the Carlo. It's longer than the Zezix. It is the longest standard traditional. It's the longest modern metal Balisong that I have ever flipped. The only thing that I've seen longer is like a Filipino Balisong that's like absurdly long, and that one doesn't flip properly because it's only got like a metal pin instead of bushings. Anyways, with that out of the way, the Kuno is also incredibly light. It is, I want to say, under 4 ounces. Let me double check. Yeah, it's 3.25 ounces, and it is super long, which makes the Kuno have one of the wildest proportions and one of the most unique ones. And I love unique stuff, and I was really excited to flip the Kuno. Um, Flipping the prototype was weird. I've gotten more used to it since my first impressions video, but that isn't to say that it's weird. It is definitely weird, and I've gotten more used to it. I hope that the production model is more pleasant to flip. Not to say that the prototype is bad. It just feels extra weird. And the way that the weight distribution is, it's not quite in a. It doesn't feel quite balanced. It fans slightly handle bias, I guess, and it's really easy to ladder. It's super light, which makes it really fun to do certain things just compared to like other stuff. But that said, this is a weird Balisong, and I like weird, and I like different. And I was really, really excited to get one and possibly pre-order one, but I'm like, I really want to try it before I buy, because the Kuno retails for $500. And I talked to Remshi about this, and Remshi said that it's basically as low as he can go. Otherwise, he would lose money on it. I believe him. He's going to Machinewise to do manufacturing. And Machinewise is an American company with several employees, and so I'm sure that Machinewise charges maybe less than JK, but certainly more than a Chinese manufacturer. Like I know the Nakiri is able to be under 500 because it is Chinese manufactured, um, and you simply just cannot get that low if you're going to an American manufacturer. Um, Again, while I really like Remshi, he's a really nice guy, and I think this is a really cool product, albeit a weird one, as I will keep saying. I don't think I can justify spending $500 on this. Now, a lot of people were like, "Wah, trainers, wah 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 wah, trainers," and I don't really like the stigma against trainers. Um, I think a good trainer can be worth $500, but this doesn't feel like $500. And again, that's $500 not including this mod work. This anodization and the jeweling on one side and in here. That is not included when you pre-order a Kuno. It's cool because it's all titanium, and you can do really cool and unique mods. You can acid, you can do toxic waves on the entire thing. You can get these interesting shapes. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can do this jeweling. That's only on one side in this case. You can shit. You can get a fade from the entire thing all the way down. You can do some really cool colors. But because it is all titanium, it is harder to justify that $500 because part of what makes blades expensive to machine is because steel is much harder than titanium. And steel, like Machinewise blades, are machined in their hardened state. It's hardened steel, and then they mill through it, and those bits, they get destroyed over time, and so they have to buy new bits, and so that's part of the cost of why they're, the blades cost money. And trainers are still made of steel, but this one is made of titanium. So that's a little bit harder to justify the cost. Not to mention, these handles just feel really light. And yes, it is Chanwich, and I do love the Chanwich, but it feels relatively simple. And the only way I can really describe it is that I'm not saying this feels cheap. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying it does not feel like a $500 Balisong. And I really wish I didn't have to feel that way, and I really wish that I could say with my spirit, to just be like, yeah, go get a Kuno, go support Remshi. He's a great guy, really cool guy. But I am having a really hard time, and I know I want to be honest. I want my reviews to be honest and my impressions to be honest. And I while I really like a lot of people in this community, I think it would be a disservice to tell people not to get something, or to get something because of how I feel about the person, not about the product. And again, the product is fun. It's interesting. But $500 is a lot of money. And in that same price range, there are other Balisongs that you can get that. Let me just see what is on my wall that's about that cost. The Cygnus is $450. The Cygnus costs less than this, and the Cygnus has intricate titanium milling and G10 scales that are specialized for it, and is a steel blade, and it comes with a trainer blade and a bunch of other stuff like an NFC card and band-aids and a case. I think I already said that, and a polishing cloth. And yes, it's made in China, which is why it can cost less than $500. And this is made in America. Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I really wish I could say, with all my heart that this is really worth it. But it doesn't feel like that. I would say if this cost $400, I would still have reservations about recommending it, but I know. Anyways, as for how it performs, it's odd. And yes, take everything I say with a grain of salt because this is the prototype. But it just it's very unique. The balance, especially for this one, I think it's I hear it's better. It's just odd. And because it's so long, but so light. Honestly, my biggest gripe about it is that the sandwich, I wish was just a little bit more comfortable. I wish there was a little bit more material width-wise, so it wasn't just all groove. But then again, that would affect the balance a lot. I don't know if it was just full-on sandwich versus Chanwich would affect costs or anything. And some people don't like the shape of this blade because it's just flat. I did mention it would look cooler if there was like depth to it, but that would astronomically increase the price. Um, it chaplains fine. It does twirls fine. It ladders fine. Like I will say, the twirls and the ladders actually feel pretty nice. There's no jimping, but there's also virtually no surface to jimp. Um, like yeah, you could do a little bit on the side, but frankly, with how light it is and it being virtually all groove, I don't think you really need it as much. Um, and it's just so wild and unique. Rollovers feel a little strange because it doesn't stick to you. Um, so when you're doing these rotations, it can feel like it's flying away from you. Um, there's so much handle that it's like not hard to catch, but it does feel like it's flying away from you. And again, take everything I say with a grain of salt about the balance and certain things about the flipping, because this is the prototype. But despite that, I don't think that the prototype is going to. I don't think that the production model is necessarily going to change a lot of my overall thoughts on the Kuno. A lot of the intricacies of like the flipping performance and the balance, um, take with a grain of salt. But there's only so much that the balance will affect, and apparently it's a more of a standard flipping experience, albeit still very much the Kuno being the super long, like again, ridiculously long, the longest Balisong I've ever flipped, and really light, under 3.5 ounces. So with those combined, you get a really interesting flipping experience. And if you like uniqueness, which I do, and you like having a diverse collection, which I do, this could be worth getting. I just don't think it's worth 500. In the future, if someone has a production model, maybe I will trade into it. Maybe I will see if I can get it for $300. I think honestly $300 doesn't feel that crazy. And just like again, logistically speaking, it is Remshi is not gouging. He's not price gouging. He's not doing anything absurd. He's not ripping people off. He is pricing as low as he can, and I respect that. But yeah, I have to be honest that I don't. It doesn't feel like the way it performs and how comfortable it is, and the materials used. I can't. I have a hard time justifying it. I have a hard time as a consumer justifying it. As the maker, as the designer, he's got to do what he's got to do. As a consumer, I'm basically saying I don't fully endorse buying this for $500. Anyways, I'm starting to go into circles. So I would like to thank Alex Nguyen, aka Soulrevausra on Instagram, who has lent me the Kuno and several other knives. I have temp traded him a few of my knives, and it's been really fun getting to know this Balisong. I'm really glad I finally got to try this because this was a Balisong that I've wanted to try for a long time. Shoutouts to Remshi. I will include the pre-order link in the video, and I will see you next time after you like and subscribe. Subscribe for daily Balisong uploads. I do reviews, I do unboxings, I sometimes cover paraphernalia such as cases, and also I've done a lube review. Top secret lube is actually very good. And yeah, thanks again to everyone that tunes in, and check out the coffee in the description because a little bit goes a long way. It'll help me cover shipping back to Alex. So yeah, help me out. It helps keep the channel alive. Anyways, happy flipping and have a great rest of your day.